guess what? It's time once again for another Throwing Bagels podcast. Kevin Mooney here with you alongside Chris Douglas and the freshly arrived Jason Hamo. Hi, guys.
I'm here.
What up?
How's it going?
Let's go. Jason, where were you? Where are you coming
I
back
was I was at a kids baseball game.
from? There you go.
You know, a bunch of third and fourth graders slinging balls all over the place.
They got to learn at some point, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they do.
Listen, they can't be worse than what the Mets did over the weekend. Good grief.
Ah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not even get into that right now because we have a guest. We have a very special guest and a repeat guest. And it's always a pleasure to have him back on the program. It's the head coach of the SUNY Oswego women's ice hockey team. It's Mark Digby. Hey, coach. Welcome back.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
No, it's always great chatting with you. And you know, before we get into the season, there's something I have to ask. So, and I see you're kind of wearing it on your sweatshirt.
Yeah, all right.
But-
Are we talking Dodger baseball? Is that what we're
Dodger baseball?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Dodgers?
absolutely. Love the Dodgers.
That's going to be a
Yeah.
fun bloodbath this week between
Oh
the
my
Mets and the
God.
Dodgers.
Good thing it's on the West Coast. I don't have to stay up to watch it. Jeez, it won't be pretty. But anyway, I remember when we had you on for the season preview, you were teasing a new jersey that the team was going to wear. And there were like little snippets on Instagram and we get previews. And then finally we see what it is. And it's the white throwback jersey with the green wave Lakers logo on the front, which was tremendous.
Chef's
So,
kiss.
mwah. Well, how did the players react to that? And how did things like, what was the reaction when the people in the crowd saw it? Like, what happened?
And better yet, did
Yeah.
the girls do the whole thing where they told you and you told them about it? Remember you had said that whoever guessed it first.
Well, they
Oh, yeah.
they were on to us. They were on to us. I don't know if it was from this or just kind of word of mouth there, but they loved them, and especially just I think when you have a chance to incorporate some of like the history of the programs, and whether it's men's hockey, women's hockey, just hockey in general, in Oswego. I think when you can connect that back to like this year being the 20th anniversary, I think it was a really special jersey to be able to wear. And I was a little concerned that they wouldn't like the color. And turns out it was a hit. That's the only one they really wanted to wear at home. They wanted to make sure that we had them for pictures and all that stuff too. So it was it was a nice reception for those.
Do the girls pick the jerseys? Do they pick what you guys are going to wear at home?
If there's certain times of the year when more our assistant Grace, like if she hasn't picked out like what the rotation is for the weekend, she'll just throw out there, hey, do you guys have a preference? And every time it was like, yeah, the wave logo every week.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we just tried to alternate it with our whites at home so that we weren't having to, bombard the laundry people or anything and get them ready for the next day if we were playing back to back.
So are
Is
those
it-
going to become the permanent jerseys?
Not permanent. We will wear them for next year as
right.
well, and then kind of go from there. But just get 2 years worth out of them. The new players join. Obviously, we'll add a few more in for the new players, and yeah, 2 years cycle through them that way, and then come up with something new for the following year.
Well, save 3 for us.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, right.
Shameless.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I could talk uniforms all night.
Oh, yeah,
honestly,
right? Seriously.
Geez. But yeah, those would be nice. All right, so coach, let's talk about the season. You finished 14-10-2 overall, 8-4-2 in the SUNYAC. You finished in second place, and you lost to Cortland in the SUNYAC conference semifinals. Just your thoughts overall on how the season went.
Yeah, I think looking back now, hopefully if this year was a success for us, we'll probably find out come next fall. I think when you look, yes, second place, we were pretty excited about that. And I think for having the young team we had, that's pretty good in our league where it's so competitive top to bottom. And even though, only 6 teams make the playoffs, our 7th and 8th place teams were also pretty good. Both those teams had some really good non-conference wins. They had some good conference wins. And So I think for us to show the consistency over the course of the year to be able to grind our way into second place, we were pretty excited and pretty proud of that. At the same time, I think there was a lot of room for growth coming out of the season. And hopefully, as we kind of work our way through this spring and some of the off ice stuff that's going on now, hopefully some of those lessons that we hope that we took out of last season are really settling in with the players and making sure that we hit the ice, just more prepared to incorporate the lessons that we learned. And I think when you have a young team like we have, you hope that you can work your way through those in one season. The reality is college hockey's hard, and the non-conference schedule that we play is difficult for a reason, and you hope that can prepare you well for the end of the year. And this year, I think we had 8, one-goal games that we lost, right? So I think with a little bit more experience, a little bit more understanding of different situations that'll come up over the course of a game, hopefully we can find our way back on the positive side of those one-goal games here in a season from now.
Speaking of like non-conference games, I took my son to the Manhattanville game, and he loved it. And the girls he was giving high fives to the girls when they were coming on and off the ice every time. And I heard one of them be like, "I love this kid." I don't know who it was. I don't know who was saying it, but we were like right by the locker room. Do you plan on like continuing to make trips not too far away from Oswego, but Manhattanville's not close either. So
Yeah. Yeah. And every year, the non-conference schedule will switch around a little bit. But I think if we can plan in certain road trips, especially because our conference schedule now, with only playing each team once, you really don't get an opportunity for a lot of extended trips, right? I think the old school going up to Plattsburgh to play 2 games, was fun because you'd leave on Thursday and you get out of class, you get on the bus, you drive up there, you get the night together in the hotel, you wake up the next morning, you got your pregame skate, like you feel like a pro hockey player for a while.
Right.
But with our conference schedule just being one game on the road and then you go to a different location the next day, you don't get a lot of opportunities like that. Whereas like this year in January, especially, we tried to take advantage of that as much as we could with the young group that we had and get on the road for, multiple 3-day road trips. And so as much as at times it was difficult to be on the road that long, as we went Norwich tournament, Manhattanville, um, Amherst, Western New England, out in Springfield, Mass. And then we were up in Potsdam, Plattsburgh the following weekend. So it was 4 weekends in a row of 3-day road trips. Um, and they can be difficult at times, but they can also be excellent team bonding opportunities. And so like on that trip, we actually took the team into New York City and let them walk around a little bit, just experience a lot of that. Most of our players have never been there. And so with non-conference games comes opportunity to build in team building opportunities, I guess, for lack of a better term. And that's certainly something we want to continue to do, for the future. Hopefully a couple that are earlier in the season, just again to kind of help kickstart the year with a road trip, I think is a lot of fun too.
How much of an adjustment is it for freshmen coming in to get adjusted to those types of road trips?
I don't know if the road trips are difficult because most of the players, the travel that we do is a lot easier than what they're doing, in youth hockey. And just the volume of travel that they have to do, it's a lot, the way their youth schedules work. So I think it's lighter. It depends on the time of year though. I think when you have like the academic standpoint in the fall and you're just getting going, it's pretty easy to kind of stay focused and to stay intense on those road trips. Whereas when you get back from Christmas, especially when you are a younger player and it's your first time being away from home for New Year's, it's your first time being away from your family for all of the events, because typically for everybody, the holiday doesn't just end right then. It kind of extends out a week or 2 weeks, depending on, how big families are and trying to get everybody together. And when it hits home when the first time the family's getting together and you're not there. And so it was important for us this year to make sure we were spending a lot of time together and the players were there to support each other and just to be around each other. And we found it was a lot of fun, a good learning experience for a lot of the girls. And and for us too as coaches, and getting a chance to provide those opportunities and those experiences for the players. It was a lot of fun.
And Alex O'Brien is from New York, right? So
Yeah.
was she like your chaperone? Was she the one showing all the girls around?
Yeah, we actually her dad runs the rink at Chelsea Piers.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
And so where it was, we were all laughing because where the bus dropped us off, we were only like 2 blocks from the rink. And she was trying to get in touch with him, to meet up with him, and they were going to go out and do something and meet up for a couple hours. And then everybody else was like, how fast can we get to Times Square and then get back here? And it was pretty exciting just watching. They definitely didn't have bus legs getting off the
Yeah,
bus there, and they were hightailing it to get their pictures in Times Square pretty
that's funny.
quick. It was pretty entertaining.
Did you practice at Chelsea Piers?
We didn't. We had thought about it early on, but just not knowing travel times with the bus and everything to get downtown and then to get back out of the city, it was just easier to skate here, get to the hotel, check in, and then drive into the city from there.
So she wasn't the tour guide trying to make sure the girls didn't look like tourists walking around the
Oh,
city.
she had her little group that she was not letting off her hip too easy. They were,
Yeah.
yep, don't do this, don't do that. Make sure you're not acting like Elf walking around the city or anything at that time of year.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Stay away from Elmo and
Yeah.
Patty's.
Yes, all the
Stay away from all those,
characters.
yeah, stay from all
Yep.
those characters in Times Square. So junior Jenna Majeski, she took home all SUNYAC second team honors this year, and then you had a freshman, Georgia Cunliffe, who was on the all rookie team. How much did their contributions mean to the Lakers throughout the season?
Yeah, I think they both had really good years, and I think with great offense and struggling to score at certain points of the year, it was always refreshing when you needed a goal. Jenna would come through for you. There was times in the year when, we'd have two or three, really good scoring chances. They don't go. It's easy for the team to start gripping their sticks and just wonder like, oh boy, are we in it again here where we're just not going to be able to put one away? And then she'd come out of nowhere, make a play and score a goal, and then everybody could just breathe a little easier at that point. So, pretty exciting, especially when she bounced around on lines quite a bit as we were just trying to figure out what we had with some of the new players. So we were excited and proud that she got rewarded with that this year. And, I'd probably say same thing for Georgia. She got off to a really hot start. And it was good for her confidence, I think, to get rolling a little bit, and then kind of came on really strong again at the end of the year and was able to play with energy. And even if she wasn't scoring, was really contributing just to the overall energy of the team. Did a great job on the penalty kill, getting pucks back for us. So, we're really excited to get both of them back next year, and hopefully they can continue with the progress they saw this year.
And speaking of the roster, I know you've mentioned this already, Coach. Three-quarters of the roster from this season are freshmen and sophomores. Five juniors and only one senior in Brittany Iverson. So does that give you like a sense of confidence, knowing that you can return nearly the whole roster to have another run at it next season?
Yeah, I think as long as the lessons of the season are fully absorbed, there's no
Yeah.
reason that we shouldn't be able to hit the ground running next year. And really, 19 freshmen sophomores this year, but 21 out of our 25 have been with us for 2 seasons or less, right? The
Mm.
kids that, if you include the kids that transferred in last year, it's it's a pretty young group in terms of how we operate. And so with 24 out of 25 back for next year, I think there's the potential's there to have a really good season again. And then, next year we graduate 2 forwards and 3D, all who play significant time for us and who are great people, good contributors in the locker room, but at the same time, you've got a really good core coming back then too. So I think we're really at this point built for long-term success. And you just hope that if the lessons from this year can settle in, similar to really the experiences that we had 2 seasons ago. Um, I think we won 15 or 16 games that year, but we had really high expectations for ourselves going into the year. And I think there was a lot of off-season talk about development and growth on and off the ice, and the players really bought into that and understood how difficult it was going to be. And we have the year that we had a year ago where we had 20 whatever wins that we had, and then you come into this year with basically a whole new team, And you can talk about the lessons, you can talk about what it takes all you want, but until you live it, it's hard, right? And failure can be the best teacher if you allow it. And I think that's really where we're at right now, is that as long as the lessons settle in, I think we're pretty excited about what the next bunch of years can look like here for us.
With the 12 freshmen, um, did you notice, do you feel like you were, yeah, at one point you were like, okay, like we have a ton of freshmen on this team. Like was it hard for them at the beginning, the different type of play in the SUNYAC versus where they came from?
I think at different times of the year it was difficult for different players. I think some early on, just the adjustment piece was probably the hardest part. Others, the maintaining their level of play was probably the hardest part, throughout the middle of the year. And then others, just as the season went on, they just physically and mentally just got worn down. And those are all things that you try to prepare for the best that you can, as coaches and as players. Like they really did the best that they could to have themselves ready. And um, it's just, there's lessons that, the best lessons are caught, not taught. And so hopefully these are things that will settle in for us. And, if you don't forget the way that some of those losses felt, and you understand why they happened, I think those can be great lessons for our team.
Do you have anyone else coming in? Obviously you have one spot technically really on your roster right now, but are there anyone else, do you have more than one player coming in or no?
Yeah, well, probably just to try to balance things out a little bit. You hate to be in a cycle where you graduate one kid on a class in every 4 years, because then you run into a year like this where you're going to have 12 freshmen again, and hey, what are you doing and how's it working, right? As Coach Gozek used to say. So hopefully we can balance it out a little bit year over year here for the next couple, and just get that class to where it's more of a manageable size, here in 3 years. But as the spring rolls on, hopefully we'll keep finalizing what next year's team will look like, and just keep bringing in the quality of people that we have. As much as we're disappointed in some of the results that we had, it's tough not to be excited when you show up to the rink and get to work with a group of players like this. They're just, I mean, you mentioned it with your son, and how I love this kid, and like that's the energy that they bring to the rink every day. And they're excited, they're happy, they enjoy each other. They're really an easy group to get to work with, and and that's something that when you're adding people to a group like that, you can't miss. You got to make sure you bring in high quality people, so that you just don't let the current players down by bringing somebody in that's just gonna mess with the chemistry of it.
So we were talking before we started recording, and you mentioned that there was a few players from the team that are in spring sports in Oswego, lacrosse and softball. Is that unusual to have so many dual sport athletes?
I think it's unusual to have that many. I don't think it's unusual for some teams to have, one or two. But for us, Abby Dix, who was a forward for us, she was actually recruited to Oswego for hockey and lacrosse. A lot of the others, they were just good at lacrosse or softball, and then just decided they wanted to try to play once they were here, just for something to do, and just give them a different perspective, through the spring. And so, yeah, they're off to a good start. Both those teams are rolling right now. Yeah, softball is like 12-0. So they're off to like the best start in program history.
Wow.
Lacrosse has picked up right where they did last year. So they're crushing it right now. And, it's nice to see them, playing on those teams and contributing, just in their different ways. And you watch just the energy that they bring to those teams, and whether they're in actually playing or they're just on the bench there during that time, it's fun to go and watch, and you watch them scream and yell, and you're like, okay, yep, we get that too, and we see it every day. So it's a lot of fun to just see them branch out a little bit, and make some different friends, and playing something else that they're just really passionate about. It's a lot of fun to watch.
As long as the weather is cooperating.
Yeah.
Even when the weather's not cooperating, one of our extra responsibilities, we have home event for softball. So like if they're out in the miserable weather, we're out in the miserable weather. Yeah, but it is fun to get to watch them, with whether they're out in the field hitting, screaming and yelling on the bench, it's just fun to watch, the the players that we were part of getting them to come here and being part of that experience. And now you watch them branch out and go to something that they weren't even recruited here to do. They just really wanted that as part of their experience. And, it's pretty special when you get to see that.
Does it scare you sometimes when they're out there,
Oh my
praying,
gosh.
praying that there's,
So
knock on wood, like
yeah.
nothing happens?
Yeah,
You're
so
like,
Dory, yeah, old Dory there, she got me flipped into dad mode on Saturday at her game. She takes off to steal second in the softball game. The girl had second base blocked. The catcher had a great throw and she dove to try to get it. And I thought she hit her shoulder right on the kid's
Oh,
shin. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, get up, Kayla, get up. And yeah, she was fine, more just mad that, she didn't get there. But, every time that happens, or, a couple games earlier, Finney's rounding third base, getting home. I see the kid throw it, and I'm like, catcher, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. But for just like I said, just really exciting and fun to see them creating those relationships outside of the ones that they kind of knew they were going to have to create when they got here. Those are ones that they're choosing to do, and something that they're going out of their way to sacrifice their own time to do that. And then I appreciate that as a coach, as a parent, as just an employee at the school. It's fun to be able to watch any players go out and do that.
is it true that, correct me if I'm wrong, all the girls that are playing the dual sports are all freshmen right now? Am I
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So Kayla and Erica with softball, and then Abby and Ava with lacrosse.
So have you ever had dual sport players, athletes before this, or is this
It's
the first one?
been a long. Lexi Levy actually played lacrosse for
Okay.
her first year here, um, and then she decided just to step away. And I think just the hockey season was hard enough, with the way she played and in her focus that she had on things. So, but there hasn't been many over the years. Couple before that, but not to this point where there was four all on the same team.
You've coached for a lot of years. You were an athlete yourself, playing at Brockport. I mean, that's just an incredible time commitment for just one sport. I can't imagine how like on the ball that these dual sport athletes have to be to juggle two sports.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit
Yeah.
with the road trips, especially with spring sports and the cancellations, the schedule
Mm.
changes. Uh, is it raining out? Are we practicing inside? Are we practicing outside? If we're practicing inside, practice is at this time. If we're outside, it's at this time. If we're inside, we got to wear this. If we're outside, you got to wear this. Like there's just no thanks. I'll take the rink in the consistent cold and no wind every day. But it's just a lot of fun to see them in how they take up different roles on those teams and
Mm.
how they have to get acclimated. Because with hockey, you get here in the fall, you start in the fall. And with lacrosse, Abby knew she was going to be playing, so she was able to do fall ball, and she knows some of the players just from other teams and stuff that she's done. Plus, with her recruiting visit and all of those things, she's somewhat familiar. The other three, they didn't know any players on the team. And so, when they got in, they had to fully earn their way into the team. And, I think knowing the three of them, I'm sure they've done a really good job of earning respect and getting in and treating people the right way and really becoming part of the team.
I was gonna ask how they like how they handle. There's obviously the off season is during your season, right? So how's the off season like they obviously they're not training, but I mean their training is just skating up and down the ice. But like how are they, how are they doing with the team training while they're not, able to do it?
Yeah, I think for the most part, they just rely on like the hockey training to have them prepared. And then I know a lot of times, and not just Abby and Ava, but the rest of them, they would go over to Romney and actually play catch with lacrosse sticks, just as something to do, in the evenings when they didn't have to study or anything. So I think that was a little bit easier there, but I don't think Kayla or Finney picked up a bat right until they went to the tryout when they were going to actually try to make the team.
Hmm.
I don't think either of them even had their cleats here. So I think they had to get shipped out here, and they got it like a couple days before they were supposed to go and hit, or their gloves showed up, right before they were supposed to go. And it's as I probably should with my dad jokes, just told Finney she should take her goalie glove over to the tryout. He didn't
Fair
think I was
enough.
funny,
Yeah.
but I thought I was relatively
I
funny.
thought
So
it's
that's all
funny.
I can ask for, you know?
Does does burnout concern you at all? Like
Not with them. I think there's some athletes I think that would really struggle with that. I think for them, it's more of a something they've consistently done over the course of their life. Like hockey season ends, you automatically roll into lacrosse or softball, or something else. And I think for the players that have consistently done that and they've been passionate about that, it's probably harder to step away or have a softball season start and not be involved, versus the burnout aspect of it. And I think when you've kind of grown up with the time commitment, you've grown up with the stress of having to manage multiple sports, it's almost more stressful and you almost feel that hollowness when you don't have it. And so I think for them, it's a really good consistency, um, to be able to kind of maintain, hey, I have practice, I've got my workouts, I've got a game, I've got to do this, and a little bit more of a time commitment, I think, with some of those because the games, maybe not lacrosse, but like for softball, it's a double header. You're talking a 6 hour game day, 7 hour game day. By the time you get the field taken care of and everything else at the end, it's a long day, and plus you're missing a little bit more class because you're probably got weekday games. So it does force them, to be a little bit more accountable with their schedule. And I think they've all done a really good job of it. They're all really good students too. So that certainly helps, with my comfort level for how they're going to be able to manage it.
so let's talk about you for a second. What's your plans for the off season? Your to-do list is on and off the rink.
It's long. I'll say that. I think anytime you go through any year, whether it's a good year, a bad year, there's tons of lessons you can take out, but you got to dissect it the right way. And the part of that means not grinding yourself into the ground all the time too. And um, that's not something I've always done a good job with. And so I'm trying to be better about, scheduling things and making sure that, we're watching video as a staff at an appropriate time. Uh, we're focused on fundraising at appropriate time, recruiting, and not just wearing ourselves down. And the summer for us can be extremely difficult, just on us personally, on our families and all that. So just trying to be more intelligent. I'm not sure intelligence a word that always goes along with my approach to things because it's just go, 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 go. But we're trying to be smarter about the approach and hopefully have a couple new staff members joining us next year too that'll help, which uh, it's great once you get in season as long as you're prepared, right? And you know what they're going to be doing, how they can best help the team, how the staff, themselves has got to intermix. And, I think for us, just trying to make sure that we're diligent with our time, but also diligent with our time away and making sure that we can refresh a little bit because, once June hits and the recruiting cycle kind of flips all over again here, it can be pretty chaotic for the summer and you're just not able to get a lot done other than focused on recruiting and, just trying to get ahead of some of that stuff.
What does the 26-27 schedule look like so far?
Well, hopefully it balances out with a little couple more home games than what we had. Um, be nice, I think, for like the Education Day game to move back a little bit in the calendar. Um, with we've had Amherst for that game before. We had Plattsburgh this past year, which are great hockey games, but trying to just switch the timing of the year on those just to make sure that there's, the kids that are able to come up from the elementary schools around here and everything, trying to get them here for that. So yeah, it should be exciting. Hopefully some different opponents a little bit, try to maintain the same format that we had like with Utica this year because it's a close team and a good program. Um, now that St. John Fisher's going, hopefully that'll move away from just exhibition. Try to get them for a couple games because they'll be a really good team. I mean, they were strong last year, even though they were all freshmen for the most part. And I'm sure they're going to continue to just improve, year over year. They'll be on like a Nazareth type trajectory. So being able to get them on the schedule will be nice because you don't have to travel very far, obviously, to play
Yeah.
them, and you get a good opponent there. Hamilton, same thing. And just being able to kind of keep good games locally here, that'll be really important, I think, for us.
You mentioned Nazareth. They ran all the way to the national championship game,
Yeah.
and fell to River Stout or
River Falls, yeah.
River Falls. Um, but they started in like we were like I was looking back at it. I'm like they've only been around for 6, 7 years or something like that, 8 years maybe. So it's amazing that they just basically hit the ground with an incredible season their first year, and it's just been like on this high trajectory ever since.
Yeah, well, I give Coach Baudo a lot of credit there.
Yeah.
He's one of my good friends, and I was excited for the run that they went on. Super jealous too. I'm not gonna lie there, but hopefully that's something that every team wants to get there. You got to get a lot of bounces to go your way, but you also got to do a
Mhm.
lot of the right things along the way. And Coach Baudo is one of those people that he just does things the right way. Gets good players to go there who are also really good people, and hopefully we're doing a lot of the same things that they're doing there, and just a couple years behind them, I hope.
How did the team do during Giving Week, which recently wrapped up, and how are those funds being used? How are they like dispersed around?
Yeah, well, it was good. Gosh, probably double the best that we've ever done, with Giving Day, Giving Week. I forget what the actual term is for it now. I feel like it's adjusted here over the last couple of years, but I think we came in just over $6,000 for that, which is exciting. We have a lot of players right now that love being on the ice. Like they're around the rink all the time. And so a lot of, couple hours before practice, they'll be out on the ice working on stuff. And a lot of times there's like different stuff that we wish that we had, that they could go out like rebounding type things or screeners for the goalies, we'd call them, like just things to kind of get in the way that you have to shoot around to focus on shooting through traffic, or just different little tools like that now we're in a position where we can provide those things for the players. And when they're out there doing work with myself, with Coach Grace, or any of our other coaches, they'll have all the tools that they need to take right out there with them. So that's a lot of fun, and certainly appreciative and grateful of everybody that supported us with that.
Does each team get their own, like basically, does each team, whatever that specific team takes in, they keep for themselves? Is that how it works?
Yep, yep, every team has their own goal, their own um kind of wish list, I guess, so to speak, that they're raising money for. And then,
Mhm.
that kind of gets broadcast out to, I guess, the greater community, but also like their alums in general. And so you hope that, for whatever it is, I know like men's hockey has a big push to upgrade a lot of the things in our weight room, which we appreciate, and we always try to help support that too, because we use that space as well. So, it was kind of a project they've been taking on over the last couple of years, is upgrading some of those things. Um, I think Swim and Dive was focused on their trip down to Florida. A couple other teams were similar to us, like with training tools and different things like that they can implement in with their teams. But it's a nice way to do it because it allows you to really speak, I guess, for lack of a better term, with your own alums, and encourage them to give back, and kind of show the appreciation that they have, for the experience that they had when they were here.
So before we wrap things up, we have a question about the Olympics that happened not too long ago. We had mentioned some of the U.S. Olympians that actually played at Oswego back in 2014. Were part of the under 18 U.S. national team. You were an assistant coach with the men's team at that time. What do you remember about that contest?
The probably biggest thing I remember was how good Thatcher Demko was. Now he wasn't in the Olympics, but I mean every time we watch him play now, that's all I can remember was how good that team was. Um, Certainly when you get Austin Matthews on the ice, that's pretty impressive. Um, and a lot of the other guys, that were playing, and now you watch them where they're at now, it's pretty impressive to think back of where they were when they were kids, and the development that they've gone through, the effort that they've put in to try to get to that point. It's pretty special. And for American hockey to get two gold medals and then a third, after there with the sled hockey team.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome to get the hat trick there. Um, and so yeah, it was, I mean, fun watching the men's team win, and certainly made it, both teams made it very dramatic, which was they made it
Sure
exciting.
did.
Um, and fun for American hockey, I think to have that. And I'd be shocked if 10 years from now USA Hockey's not looking at a big bump in the registration numbers, with kids that are involved in hockey. I know I got my nephews down on Long Island skating now, partially because they were excited about the Olympic Games. So, very cool to hopefully see a big bump in USA Hockey because of that.
What were your thoughts of like those players, Kachuk and Matthews and those guys when you saw them playing? Were you like, oh my God, these guys are going to be fantastic? Or was it like, you didn't know that much you didn't know yet at that point?
The only one at that time you really knew, two that you really knew about were Matthews and Demko. Um, you knew that both of them were pretty special, and then you look at that team. Jeremy Bracco was on that team also. He went on to be a star, I think, at BC, and then bounced around a little bit after that. But when you have an opportunity to get a team like that, especially in your rank,
Yeah.
you're really fortunate because
Yeah.
there's just so many good players, and they're good at the time, but the chances of some of those players becoming the elite, players in the NHL is very high. And it's really cool, to look back now at the game sheet and you're like, okay, yeah, that team was pretty good. They
Yeah, it's crazy.
had some special players,
Like Tage
and
Thompson, and it was crazy.
yeah,
We went back and we looked at it because we were like, I think they played, and then we looked and we were like, oh my God, I didn't realize all of these
yeah,
guys were on the under
Yeah.
18 team that
Yeah.
they played.
yeah. Jordan Greenway, I think, was on the
Yeah, Jordan
team.
Greenway was on the
Yeah.
team. Yep.
Which was cool for him too, because he's just from up north here. And um, sometimes for those exhibition games, if it's not parents' weekend, you might not have a great crowd. But I think there was a whole section there for Brazier Falls there to watch him. So, really special opportunity. When you look back at those games, and if I remember right, that's the year we beat them four
Yeah.
Yes.
three,
You did beat
four
them.
two.
Yeah.
I
Five,
think
5-3, I
five
think.
three.
Five,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think. Yeah, going into it, I remember everybody, just talking about how good their team was going to be. And I think Davies scored like 4 or 5 minutes into the game. And I I think we were all just kind of shocked that we scored a goal.
Yeah, it's
For,
pretty
you
cool to
know,
say like, hey, we beat these guys. I mean, granted they were, a few years younger than the guys
yeah.
playing on the Oswego, but still, to
Yeah.
say like we beat them in hockey at some point in time.
Yeah. That it pretty fun to look back. And I think the coach, oh, geez, I'm trying to think of who it was then too. I can't remember if Seth Appert was there, who's now, I believe, with Rochester in the American League, or if it was John Rubleski, who's now the coach of the women's national team. But they were both involved with the under 18 team right around that time. So, I think freight from a staff all the way down to their players, it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot when you get a chance to play teams like that, just of the structure that you have to play in, but the structure that you can't play in, and just how you have to go out and play. And there's not a lot of stay-at-home defensemen playing on the US under 18 team. And so I think when you watch the way that they play, and the players who are good defensively, but they're also really good offensively, and how they generate and just go out there and create space for each other. It's a lot of fun when you get a chance to watch players of that caliber play, and when you have to play against them and try to be prepared to play against them, it can jumpstart your season in a hurry having to do that.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again in a few short months.
Yeah,
That
hopefully.
much we know.
Very good. Yeah, well, thanks for having me on here again. I appreciate it. Always fun talking with you guys, and hopefully the Mets can get it going for you.
I hope so.
And that was the head coach of the SUNY Oswego women's ice hockey team, Mark Digby, who just, put it in your calendar right now. He'll be back with us in
That's
September,
right.
maybe
Book it.
somewhere around there. Book it. Book it. Coach Digby in September. But it's great. It's always great talking to Coach about the on ice, off ice, what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, he does bring us kind of like behind the scenes sometimes, which is pretty cool. I appreciate
Mhm.
that, so I'm sure a lot of people want to know about that sort of stuff and like kind of what happens and not necessarily in the locker room, but like, what the coaching staff's thought process is and like the recruiting and like how you put these trips together and all these little nuanced things that no one really thinks about, um, you know, other than coaches, basically, and administrators.
I'm hoping they make another trip down somewhere in this general area,
Sure.
so I could go to another game. It's always enjoyable when I can.
And you'll give the girls high fives this time instead of Stanley.
Yeah, that's not creepy.
I wasn't trying to be creepy. Stick a fist out there. Look at me, a fist bump.
When Sydney was a baby, a friend of Leah's was running the marathon, and she was like literally 9 months old, maybe no, just over a year old actually. She was just over a year old, and we're like standing outside, and I'm like holding her out with her hand up and like with giving high fives to people as they're running by.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Little kids when people are running a marathon, they see like a little kid or something like that, kind of like gives them a little more boost,
Sure.
like after you've been running for so long, you're like, oh my God. You see something that you're like, oh, look at that. All right.
Well, it finally happened for
What?
the first time ever. There are no New York City area NHL teams in the playoffs.
That's
Devils
wild.
That's
out,
crazy.
Rangers out, Islanders out on the last day, basically.
Yeah. I saw that today, and I actually had to ask someone I knew to confirm it for me that like works in like sports radio, because I was like, is this true? Like, I feel like I've seen this happen once before.
Right.
But apparently, no. Apparently, it never happened before. I was shocked.
Crazy.
I have
That's
never realized it. Because the Islanders
shocking.
barely ever make the playoffs. So it's really only the Rangers and the Devils.
Right.
Like, how often do the Islanders really make the playoffs? Not very
in the
often.
80s all the time.
Well,
but...
in the 80s, then in the early 90s and the 80s, they were making a decent amount, but they don't make it much anymore.
I mean, the Islanders probably kept the streak alive throughout the whole 80s and first
true.
early 90s.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Well, the Rangers were pretty good in the 80s and in the late 80s, mid to late 80s.
Yeah, they were right in the early 90s. They were
early
okay.
90s. Yeah.
They were okay.
Yeah. But in in '86 they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They almost made the Stanley Cup that year.
That's fair.
Patrick Waugh knocked them out in his rookie season.
That's right. But the only New York team left in the NHL playoffs, none other than your Buffalo Sabres.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
15-year hiatus.
It is a miracle.
Years. So the fact that the Sabres made the playoffs and none of the other New York area teams
so crazy
made it, that's like the probability is off the charts.
Yeah, and it's like it gives the Sabres all this like runway now. They're like, we're the only team in New York to be in the playoffs right now, and think about it. They had taken them 15 years to make the playoff. They were out of the playoffs for 15 years. And now there's only one team with a streak longer than them, the New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets.
The New York Jets are the only team to have a streak of this long to not make the playoffs.
I was
in all the major sports.
This is
the longest
crazy.
streak right now. 15 years.
I was listening to the Dan Levitard show. I love the Dan Levitard show. Those who listen will know that. They put up a poll question today of which is more difficult to do, win back-to-back Masters or go through an entire NFL season without intercepting a ball.
It's definitely win back-to-back Masters. Easier.
No.
You can't tell me. You think it's that easy to go through a whole season and not have one interception?
It's never happened before. The Jets are the only team that's
what I'm
saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's like people just your ball lands in your arms half the time.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like by accident, you would get at least one interception.
Oh, okay. You're saying okay. I thought you were saying it the other way. Okay.
No. Like it's harder not to get an interception.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. I thought you were saying it the other way. That's why I was like. That's why I said the master.
Just by accident, like a tip ball at the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
Like something.
Exactly.
No, it's never happened in the NFL before.
The Jets never cease to amaze me. What can they possibly do to up themselves at this point? Like they can't. How can you top yourself except for going 0-17? What else could they possibly do?
Great question.
Like I don't know. Not have a rushing touchdown all season or something like that. Like,
That would be crazy.
that would be crazy.
That would be nuts. Just as crazy as not intercepting a single pass the entire season.
I mean, they're lucky they had a throwing touchdown pass this season, considering the quarterbacks that they had on that team.
Jets.
Pretty bad.
They brought Geno Smith back.
They
Yeah,
did.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe they should bring back the guy who broke his jaw. Maybe they could kiss and make up, and be on the team together again.
Who was that? Was that
I forgot his name. It's a crazy name. I can't pronounce it.
DeBerkshire Ferguson? No, it wasn't him.
Not him. No.
I know who it was. I can't think of his name, but he was a safety. He was a safety.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah.
Didn't he wind up with the Bills after that? Did he go to Buffalo?
I just remember the Jets
I
just
can't
let him go
remember.
like right after that.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
But I can't remember who.
I think the research team might be engaged now.
Yeah, they'll get on that.
Yeah, we'll get on
look
it.
up. But no, Chris, back to your point. I mean, the fact that interceptions just fall into other people's arms.
I mean,
And the Jets couldn't even do that for an entire season, 17
amazing.
games.
Absolutely amazing.
Like literally thousands of passes defended
Yes.
and not one interception.
That's right. That's right.
So it was a linebacker. It was IK and
Oh.
Kapali. I can't pronounce
Yes.
his name. Anem Kapali or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the regular season. It was in the preseason. It was
Yes.
August. It was in August. And he got, it was apparently it stemmed from a $600 dispute regarding travel money for a football camp. Yeah. And then the Jets
Money.
and then he did land on the on the Bills right after that.
Okay, yeah.
Money, the root of all
But
evil.
the Jets immediately released him right after that.
Of course.
As they should.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, getting back to the Sabres really quick here.
Mm.
What who's their current coach?
Lindy Ruff.
Oh, Lindy Ruff. Yeah.
He was the coach the last time they were in the playoffs, right?
Was he the coach last time they were in the playoffs?
I don't know.
Where's
might
Joe
have
Yerdon when you need him?
Right? So, but
I
he
think
was
you're right.
He was the coach.
I think you might be right, though. I think you might be right.
He was the coach when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
The research staff is on it. Don't worry
Just
about
saying, like, listen, you never know. The Sabres are that good. Like, they can. There's a chance. Like, the East is wide open as far as I'm concerned.
It
right?
is.
I mean, it's wide open. So there's no reason that, maybe the Stanley Cup will be in Western New York this year.
Wow. Just the turnaround, guys. From
It's amazing.
Buffalo started horribly to the season.
Yes.
And everyone was like, well, here's another lost year.
Yep.
We'll never get into playoffs at this rate. And then they fired the general manager, Kevin Adams. And
And yeah, then also
overnight,
turned it around. Yeah. It is Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff was the coach
Yeah.
the last time in 2010, 2011. Here's a better question. Could you imagine, not a question, but a statement. Could you imagine the Sabres winning a Stanley Cup before the Bills won a
Dude.
Super Bowl?
Oh,
Like with the team the Bills have had, could you imagine that? That would be.
I mean, it would be outrageous. One. Also, they would burn the entire city down. Like, I mean, it's,
God.
I think the fans would be so happy, but they'd also be so pissed off that the Bills still never won on. They might burn the new stadium down.
right? Which is gorgeous, by the way. I don't know if you've seen pictures of that thing.
No, I haven't.
God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my beautiful. Absolutely beautiful stadium.
It's outdoors, right?
It is outdoors. And
But
they
isn't it
have
covered?
grass.
It's covered, right?
Grass.
Isn't it they're doing like the European soccer
Canopy.
stadium?
European
Yeah.
style
Yeah.
type of, but not entirely over the seated area.
But they don't have to shovel
mostly.
like feet of snow out of the seats during playoff games
That's right.
anymore.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, it's a grass field and it's absolutely, I mean, it's absolutely
Nice.
gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous stadium.
Well, Chris, it's our tax money at work. Jason's in New Jersey now, so
Oh,
his money
God.
doesn't.
Yeah.
My tax money built the worst looking stadium on the face of the earth.
That spaceship they call MetLife.
Oh yeah, you want to speaking of MetLife Stadium, Chris? I'm sure you may have heard about this. This ridiculous soccer tournament that's about to go on
That's
in
right.
the United States of America. Do you know what I'm
That's
talking
right.
about?
Yeah,
Do you
I know
what
what
I'm
you're
about to
talking about. Go ahead. Tell the audience.
I am so annoyed with New Jersey Transit. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my God. So listen to this. It's just mind-boggling. They are in bed with FIFA apparently
Everyone is.
because I don't know. I don't even understand how this is possible. They literally have decided that when there are World Cup games at the Meadowlands at MetLife, they are shutting down New Jersey Transit side of Penn Station for commuters.
That's correct.
So basically, if I'm at work, if I decide I'm going to go into work one day,
Yeah.
I have no way to get home.
That's correct.
Because there's no
Oh,
train that's going to
God.
take me home.
That's
Because
right.
they're shutting it down and only letting people take trains to MetLife Stadium.
That's right.
I'm like, my train doesn't even go near MetLife Stadium. It goes in the opposite direction.
That's right.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft totally won't do any surge pricing or
No,
anything.
no.
during
Oh,
that
yeah.
time.
I don't even think it's allowed though, because
I'm not even going into the office on those days, and
Okay,
I
yeah.
hope the wires just fall on the train tracks. And the trains are stuck, and the people miss the games. I don't care. This is ridiculous.
it's a bleep show. It's going to be a bleep show.
It is. It's completely.
It's because I think I also read that they're not allowing parking at
No,
at
they're
the
not. Yeah,
MetLife,
it's gonna be
right?
like when
So-
the Super
Holy
Bowl took place.
cow.
When
Yeah.
the Super Bowl
Oh,
took place there, they're
God.
not allowing parking there. Yeah.
So you can't park either.
Yeah.
So
My God.
you're relying
So
strictly
you
on
have to
public
rely on mass
transportation.
transit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Ubers.
Or Uber, and who
Yeah.
knows how that's going to work out with
Trust
the
me,
Uber.
I've taken an Uber to and from for a concert, and it's horrendous.
It's all I can't imagine. Like the stadium is in the middle of nowhere in a swamp. Okay, like honestly, it is.
It's
and
not
the
good.
public
No bueno.
transportation.
No bueno.
No, and the public transportation getting there is terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
Terrible. It's going to be. Oh yeah, no. Just wait till the World Cup final. That's going to be an absolute disaster.
I don't even want to be anywhere near it.
Disaster.
I had to get that one out.
don't care.
Chris, you led me right to it, and I was like,
Oy vey. Well, on that note, I think let's call it a day. Thank you for listening to the Throwing Bagels podcast. Throwingbagels.com is our website, and throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com is our email address. And our socials are there. You know where they are. You can find them. If you're new, then go to our website, throwingbagels.com, and our socials are right there for you. Check them out. And we'll see you next time. Jason, Chris, bye-bye.
Sorry.
"All right."